We'll transition here a bit. So, Jerson, if you could give me a share screen capability.
You already have it, Pastor?
Oh, I do. Thank you. I'll see what I need to see here. Okay. Can you see the announcements for those who are video conferencing? If you're audio, I'll try to present the information as well so that you can hear and see what's going on. We have some announcements we'd like to recap. And I mean, what was the last 9 weeks, 10 weeks now? We've said the building, the church building and the LAC are closed. So over the last few weeks, though, our church leaders have been watching the news from the Oregon Conference and the state, Multnomah County, and the city of Portland. And I think some of you are too. You can't miss it on the news on some of this. But there's a baseline and a phase one reopening process. And so we found out that the faith-based institutions, that would be us, the church, could start meeting with 25 people or less. And there's a number of requirements, hygiene requirements, sanitation requirements, and social distancing and that type of thing. So the church board met last week and they requested a subcommittee. It was actually open to all members that met last Tuesday to review all the criteria and put together a Lentz reopening plan, Lentz church reopening plan specific to our situation with both buildings. And the suggestions have come in. We've compiled the suggestions. We put the information together. It's back to the board, and I'm suggesting to Jerson and the board that we can meet maybe Monday night or Tuesday to review the recommendation and to vote on those recommendations. So that's the process that's happening. Certainly more information to come, but as I'm looking forward to gradually opening the facilities. It's going to be a process, but especially as we go through phase one and phase two and subsequent phases, but that's what's going on there. We still have our connection teams active, and I know that others are picking up the phone, texting people, calling people, sending them emails, and checking in, mailing cards to one another, just trying to keep that connection going, because the body of Christ is a group of followers, of believers, and there's many ways that we can encourage one another. The praise and prayer requests are continuing to come in. We look at those at our elders meeting. We pray through those on Wednesday night prayer meeting and the Friday night prayer circle, and I'll show you our latest here as we prepare for family prayer. I'd like to also let you know that we have some new options to return tithes and offerings. The pandemic has hit hard. We haven't been able to meet in person. Some people have their jobs altered or on furlough. We understand that, and so it's been difficult also to your tithes and offerings that you've set aside for God's work to be done, or maybe still be setting aside. And so we have 4 options that are listed on the screen. You can wait and return your tithes and offerings to the church when you have an opportunity to be a part of the assembly once again. So that's been out there for a while as an option. The second option we've talked about the last couple of weeks, you can mail in your tithes and offering envelopes. So what I mean by that is that you would, on your tithe envelopes, you could indicate where your offering goes, and then you can put them in another envelope, a secure envelope, send it to the conference office, attention treasury, and then also on the envelope, if you can put Lentz SDA Church. What they do is they don't open the envelopes, they collect them and put them in a larger envelope, and then our treasury team picks up those tithe and offering envelopes that have been submitted through the conference. And the reason we offer that option is that we've had a few challenges with our mailbox at church, and so we're just wanting to make sure that people have a sense of a secure way to get their offerings and tithes in. Now, if you want to drop off, if you have cash offerings and you don't want to send cash in the mail, then Vern has offered to be at the church, and the team will be there too, the PAX outreach team, on the first Thursday of the month between, it's not 2 to 4, isn't it? 4 to 6, Vern? I think it's 4 to 6.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
That's a typo on the screen there, but from 4 to 6 o'clock. And then if you want to say, okay, here, if you could get those to the treasurer, then you're not sending actual currency and coin through the mail. So, and then the fourth option is what we've referred to the last couple of weeks. The church board has piloted the Adventist online giving option. And so we're done with the pilot, and things have been going well. So we're opening that up to the congregation to use. And so what I think I'll do is, let's see. There it is. There's a new share here. There's some steps that Jerson actually took screen prints and put some notes on to indicate how this process works. And I also sent out an email, an all church email on Wednesday, May 20th, and the title of it was Adventist Online Giving. It has resources, links, instructions to sign up. Do we have Charles on the line? Not sure if he is. We do have Debbie on the line. So Debbie, feel free to jump in as we go through this. But Adventist Giving, you'll notice the logo there. It's a hand with a coin in it. And it's this is what it looks like when you get into the web page. And to get started, you'll need to log in. And so let me get the window out of the way here. Okay, so you'll see in the upper corner to log in. Well, you say I haven't registered yet to log in. So what you do is you can click log in, and then you can sign up. Here's where you sign up. You provide your email and your password, and it's a very secure system. And then next information it'll ask for you is your personal information. You can say, well, this is my primary checking account. That account name is for your own benefit. How do you want to recognize that?
Yeah, it is, but it does also show up on the receipt.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Debbie.
So be careful about what you put there.
Good advice. So, and you don't have to put anything there if you don't want to. So you can put in your first and last name, your email, and you have to put in your email again, and your phone number is optional. And there's some more screens on that with the address. Now, you get down to the end of the personal information, and then it has you create your password. So when I did it a month or so ago, I would put in something and it would indicate, okay, you're not quite there yet. You need 8 characters. You need at least 1 uppercase and at least 1 lowercase and at least 1 number and a non-alphanumeric character. It could be an exclamation mark. It could be, I guess, an asterisk, or but you'd have to have some kind of combination of. 8 characters, and then your password confirmation is putting it in again. You press register, and then here is where I was expecting email back saying that I'm now registered, and so that was, but maybe I misunderstood the information, and I checked in and they said you'll get a confirmation on your email after your first donation. So after you register, then you can go back in, put in your email and your password, and you click on login, because it's the same window. You've already signed up. Now you log in. And then this is also an important piece. You type in Lentz, and since Lentz is already enrolled as a church, then it should come up. But if you happen to hit a space bar in Lentz, you may not get the right connection. You want to make sure that the Lentz Adventist Church that's on 8835 Southeast Woodstock Boulevard, that's the church that you want to make sure you're linked with. So, so you can put that in, and then comes up with your tithe envelope. And you'll notice that, again, the church's name and address is at the top. Well, that tithe envelope looks mighty familiar, because it's what our paper envelopes look like. You can designate your tithe. You can designate your combined systematic giving through the church budget. And then you can also indicate other areas, maintenance reserve fund, youth activities, student aid. And then if you click on more categories, there's actually more than what you'll see on your paper envelope. And then you have conference and union giving. For example, the focus for this week is the Oregon Conference Youth Support. And so if we were in church today, the loose offering would be going to the Oregon Conference Youth Support, because that's the focus. And then there's about 2 weeks out of the year, 2 weeks out of the month that is focused on the local church budget. So you can fill that out. You want to double check everything, and because you'll see your total come up at the bottom. And then you can continue. And now this is the part that's also important to remember. And you'll notice on the handouts that are attached to the email, and I'll see if I can bring those up to you as well, just to show you, but there's different ways that you could submit your donations. And when it says the donation, that's your tithes and offerings. And so you could collect new credit or debit card, or you can say a new electronic check. Well, there's a costs associated with these different ways of giving. So if you select a new electronic check, it's a ACH. It's a process that is costing the church, not you and not our local church, but our different levels of our organized church, our global church. It costs 16 cents to submit that. Okay. And then, but if you do a debit card, the debit card is 0.65% of the amount given. So if you give $100, let's see, that would be my math. So is that 65 cents? I think. Now, if you choose credit card, that is 2.3% of the amount given. So the cost associated goes up from 16 cents to 0.65% of the total amount given to 2.03% of the amount given. So again, there's costs associated to use this service, but we're suggesting, if at all possible, to focus on the new electronic check. So, and that's what Gerson's note is saying there. So If you select electronic check, then you would put your name as it shows up on your check, and then you can put your account type, and then you'll have a routing number. That's the 2 long numbers at the bottom of your check. And if your printed check has, like mine has a 9-digit number, starts out with 123. Well, that's the routing number. And then my actual account number, I don't know how many, 3, 6, 9, 12. It has 12 numbers to it. That's your actual account number. You can click that to save for later, so that the system, and it's very secure to save that for later, or you can not click that. You can put in this information each time, and then your nickname is optional. Debbie, any thoughts so far, or anything that I missed?
No, sounded good.
Okay, so then you submit, and your account will now appear, and you press continue. And the nice thing about this is that it comes back to your email, and you can print a receipt. And so Jerson's done an example of that. And then all of these, say you submit a paper tithe envelope a few weeks out of the year, but you're also using online giving because you were away from church, or you wanted to use that process. And so our treasury group then will be accumulating, or they will be summarizing your yearly giving with your statements that are offered at the end of the year. So that's that piece of it. Let me see if I can pull up the I forgot to bring it up. Oops, there it was. There's a resource. Here is the email that I sent out on Wednesday. And there's a 3-minute video that you can take a look at, and it's a good overview. And then there's a half-page bulletin insert, and then there's 2 pages of instruction. So we can take a look at that. And then this was, there was also a paper letter that you should have, or maybe receiving in the mail, that has the information as well. So I know some of you have email but don't use it very often, or it's too slow, or something. You're not checking that very often, or some of you that don't have internet access, then we're sending out a paper letter as well. So this is I call it the reference sheet of the help, and it tells you where you can get help and what the website is. There's also phone apps. If you're Android or your iPhone, there's links on this email that we suggest that maybe you try it from a desktop or laptop, and then you're continuing giving. You can do it either way. I found it a little bit easier to do it on the desktop. And then this is the information that's offered at the website: how to change your password, how to change your account information. This is something that you want to print and keep with you. You can set up a reoccurring donation. And that adding a saved payment method is what we talked about when it comes to your checking account information. You can save it or not. And then the tax receipts will be coming through the church. So that's that piece of it. And then, oops, where is it? Here is you're receiving an insert in your bulletin today. But you say, Pastor, I didn't receive a bulletin. Well, you get an insert today. And in fact, you have 2 copies of it. You can cut it in half and keep one in one place and one in the other. This is just a real quick overview of the information and the links and access. But right here is the fees. This is what we were talking about when it talks about the giving fees. So then here in the email, as well as shared on the paper mail, there's the links to set it up to you so you can use your phone. So I covered a lot of information on that option. Is there any questions on online giving? I've used it now for a few weeks and it's going smooth. You know, it's very similar to my utility bills, and I pay online with my utility bills. It's very similar to that. Any questions? Okay. All right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to call me. Call Charles and Debbie, or send them an email, or Bob Wilkening was part of the piloting group too, and Jerson's gone through it. So any one of the folks there can help. And so that's, we'd like to encourage you to try it. And if it's something that you're used to doing, it goes smoothly for the church as well. And just encourage you to use any one of those 4 options. Okay.